everything right, it was you and me.
Hello friends, my name is Nayeema and welcome back to my channel, and welcome to today's video, which is my April wrap-up. In April I read a total of 12 books. 1 of them was physical, 3 of them were audio, 8 of them were ebooks. 2 of them I actually owned, which I wish I did better about this month because I'm trying to read a lot of books off of my physical TBR, so it sucks that only 2 of them were owned. 0 of them were from the library. I read 0 arcs, 0 rereads, and 1 5-star. Guys, I don't know what happened this month. I think this month I got really strict with how I rate my books because I just noticed that I rate everything under the sky 5 stars, and then later when I go to talk about the book or recommend the book to someone, I don't really remember all too much what it's about, or I can't explain why I loved it. My rating needs to be a reflection of how I genuinely feel about it. Of course ratings change over time, but I'm just trying to be a little bit more strict with my ratings. If I can't tell you what a book I rated 5 stars was about, then we have a problem. Like, I need to be more strict. And of course, no surprise to anyone, I only read romance this month. Yeah, let me know if you guys like these statistics. I write them out in like my book journal, and so I might as well share them. So let me know if you guys like statistics. I really don't know why I put them here. I personally don't really care for statistics, but I thought I'd include it. But yeah, I'm just really shocked I only had a 1 5-star read. But we're gonna get into all of that. I'm super excited for today's video. Hopefully you guys can get some good romance recs out of this, and yeah, without further ado, let's just get right into all of the books that I read. So the first book that I read was a book that I was super excited for and had extremely high hopes, and that was Falls Boys by Penelope Douglas, and I ended up giving this one 4 stars. I really enjoyed this one. It definitely was not my favorite Penelope Douglas book. Oh gosh, not my camera dying. One moment. Okay, so as you guys know, my camera died, so sorry if there was a change of positions. But we were talking about Falls Boys by Penelope Douglas. I was super excited for it because it is a like next generation for her, what is that series called? The one with the bully. I personally only read the bully, and I gave that one, I think I rated it pretty low, like probably like a 3-star read. And I know those were some of her first romance books, so I didn't really feel the need to read that entire series. I didn't really want to, honestly, after not liking the bully as much. I do hear that the books get better as you go along, but I just personally wasn't interested. So I picked up Falls Boys. I was super excited, and this one did not disappoint. I gave it 4 stars. I absolutely loved it and would totally recommend it to anyone who likes the specific tropes. It is bad girl and good boy, which I feel like is a really good change up, switch of scenery from all of the good girl, bad boy. So this book follows this girl named Arrow, and she is kind of like from the opposite side of the train tracks, from the wrong side of the train tracks. It takes place in the same town as the Fall Away series by Penelope Douglas, obviously, because it's like the next generation. But anyway, she has grown up on the wrong side of town, the bad side. She doesn't have the best of home life. She's bounced around from foster home to foster home. And I guess when she like turned maybe around like 16, she started working for, I don't want to say gang, but that's the only way I can describe it. It's like a gang, and they go around and collect debts from people, and you have like their protection and things like that. And so she's kind of like tasked with the job to be a collector, and she just basically goes around to businesses and collects things. And her boss kind of is like threatening her. He's like, oh, you're about to turn 18, like if you can't do this anymore, there's other ways that you can make money. And she's kind of like, ew, no, obviously. And she's just been doing like a lot of things wrong recently, so her boss is like, come back with all the money. I don't want to see like $1 missing. You need to come back with all the money. And so of course she doesn't end up coming back with all the money. Something happens where like these dirty cops rob her, and she's like, oh crap, what am I gonna do? And he told me I need to come back with all the money. So she decides to venture to like the good side of town and start collecting debts from the high school students that she has yet to like pick up on. They're there she sees Dylan, and Dylan is this girl who is the hero's cousin, and that's where kind of like chaos ensues. She's like, give me the money that you owe me. She's like, no. They start fighting, and then the hero kind of like interjects, and from there it just gets crazy. It's like this wild ride. It's a chase, like people are chasing them. There's a few mysteries involved, and overall, like, it was a pretty good book. I don't want to give too much away, that's why I'm not being super specific, but it was a pretty good book. I gave it 4 stars. I am so excited to read the other books in the series, especially we were introduced to so many characters that I feel like the other books will be about. So I'm very excited for the next few books in the series. This one was just 4 stars though. Maybe it would have been 5 if I felt more of a deeper connection from like the original Fall Away series, but I just didn't have that connection, so 4 stars. The next book that I read was Dark Instincts by Suzanne Wright, and I gave this book 3 stars. This is the 4th book in her Phoenix Pack series, and in this month I was just in such a werewolf mood. I wanted to read all the werewolf romances, and so I decided to pick up the 4th book to the series because every time I get into like a werewolf mood, I go back to Suzanne Wright and read another book in her series because I absolutely loved the first 2 books in the series. The 3rd one not so much, and the 4th one not so much. This book follows Ronnie and Marcus. Ronnie is from the other pack that's kind of like they're an alliance, and then Marcus is the enforcer for the Phoenix Pack, and he just is like a beautiful guy. Like, he is a beautiful man slash werewolf. He always has girls just kind of around him, flocking around him, and Ronnie doesn't seem to be doing the same thing. She kind of just like acknowledges that he's cute or whatever, but she doesn't make a big deal about it, and she doesn't like rub it in his face and like constantly remind him. She's like a very strong-willed woman. I forgot her role in the pack. I'm pretty sure she could be like an enforcer or something like that. He doesn't like that, obviously. He wants his ego brushed. He's like, why is every other girl obsessed with me except for you? And she's like, please. And so that's kind of like the dynamic of this relationship. I just found this one to be boring. I did not care for Ronnie at all, the heroine. I don't know, there was just something about her that I didn't vibe with as much and I didn't connect to. So I gave this one 3 stars. I mean, it was a fine book. All the books, or the first 2 books in the series, amazing. If you want great werewolf romances, those are the books to read. The 3rd and the 4th book that I've read thus far, like, they weren't as amazing as the first 2, so that kind of sucks, but I do get my werewolf fix from Suzanne Wright whenever I'm in the mood. The next book that I read was The Words by A. Jade, and this book came out, I believe, this year sometime, and this book, I literally started it in January and I just finished it in April. This book was so long, it had no right to be this long. I was honestly, like, I was so into the book. I stopped around 50%, and for like 3 months I was just 50% to this book. Wouldn't read more, wouldn't read any more, and it was just honestly like the principle of the matter. Like, why is your book so long? Like, there's absolutely no reason for your book to be this long. I forgot the exact page count, probably around 600 to 700 pages, and I just literally couldn't. But in April I decided, you know what, let me just finish the last 50%. It was a fairly decent book. I gave it 3 stars. This is like a bully rock star romance, which I love bully romances, but I don't like rock star romances, so it's just kind of like back and forth, like, oh, I love the bully aspects, ooh, I don't like the rockstar romance aspect. This book follows this girl named Lennon, and Lennon is kind of like the school. It's, first of all, it takes place in 2 timelines, when they're in high school and then when they are adults. And so Lennon has kind of been like the brunt of the joke at her high school. Her dad is this famous music producer, but Lennon is far from popular. She's plus size and people make fun of her all the time and bully her. And the hero, which I'm blanking on his name, you see what I mean? Like, I couldn't give this book any more than 3 stars. But the hero, he is kind of like a bad boy. He's poor, but he's obsessed with music, and he is currently failing all of his classes. It's their senior year and he's failing a class, and so the teacher actually goes to the heroine Lennon and is like, hey, will you tutor him? And Lennon kind of has like this small infatuation with him. She's kind of interested in him, but she's like, there's no way we'd ever have a chance. And then, so they end up striking up kind of like a friendship, a toxic one. Lennon very clearly will do anything for this man, and he's kind of using her for like the benefits of the homework and stuff like that. And 𝓬𝓸 also just has like a super genuine interest in music as well, and so she loves to listen to his band perform and play. Feelings ensue, things start happening between them, and then one night the hero does something awful, like literally so awful, their senior year of high school, and it can't be taken back. And so ever since then, they have not spoke. The hero and his band go on to be super famous and big. 𝓬𝓸's life has kind of gone down the drain. Her father's sick. She now works at like this bar, and it's just like the exact opposite of what you would expect would happen to her from high school, because she was super smart and, you know, all the things. 𝓬𝓸, the heroine, she gets a call from the hero's manager and is like, hey, listen, like I got your name from someone, would you be interested in being like a sober person for the hero? The hero is struggling with drugs and alcohol, and so she has to go, she basically agrees to go on tour with them because she's getting paid so much money to do so, and she decides she's gonna have a little bit of fun of her own. She's going to get revenge on him for things that he did. She's gonna make him jealous, and this book was just toxic as hell, which I love, but it was just too long for me, number one. It was a rock star romance, number two, and those honestly are my only two reasons. I just am not a fan of the whole rock star lifestyle. Like, I don't really care about tour buses. Like, I genuinely just don't have an interest for any of that, so 3 stars. The next book that I read was Charge by Kate C. Wells, and I love Kate C. Wells so incredibly much. She wrote the Tyrant Alpha's Rejected Mate and the Heir Apparent's Rejected Mate, and also Run Posey Run, and she has like a small town series and then also a Motorcycle Club series. So Charge is the first book in the Motorcycle Club series that she writes, and you guys know me, I don't like Motorcycle Club romances really at all. Like, I don't know what it is about them. Like, I'm just not interested. Honestly, it's no different from like just like a friend group, but there's something about them that I literally can't get down with. Never liked the Fallen Men series, besides Welcome to the Dark Side and other MC romance books I've tried to read. Like, it just was never working for me. But since I love Kate C. Wells so much, I decided to give Charge a chance, and I ended up giving this one 3 stars. This book, it was enjoyable, but it was just incredibly boring. Like, it was so boring. It basically follows this single mom, and she got pregnant when she was really young due to some circumstances. Definitely check up the trigger warnings for this one. She got pregnant when she's really young, and ever since that she's been really manipulated by her dad and her stepfather. They've taken away her child at a point. She finally got her son back, and it is just like a horrible situation. She just moved into this apartment complex. She's super hard up for money, and right across the hallway is Charge, and Charge is a part of a motorcycle club, and his father actually lives at the apartment complex, and he kind of goes there to help out his father. His father's sick, and from there like romance just ensues. It's a pretty simple romance. I mean, there's really not much of many tropes besides like single parent and motorcycle club. There was a little bit of drama towards the end, which I enjoyed. I was like, yes girl, finally. But other than that, it was just like a really simple read. I don't think I'm gonna pick up another motorcycle club romance again. Maybe I'll try another book in this series because I do love Kate C. Wells so much, but yeah, I just am not really vibing with motorcycle club romances. The next book that I read was Breaking the Bully by Jessica Cain, and I read this because of Brie from In Love in Words. She did like a novella romance recommendation video, and you guys know this year I've been eating up novellas. I used to not like them as much, but they're actually such amazing like palette cleansers. Dip your toe in, give yourself a break from whatever book you're reading. I've been really enjoying novellas, and so I've only really read Jessica Cain's novellas, like I think 2 or 3 of her Big Boy series books. And so when I saw this book recommended in Brie's video, I decided to pick it up, and sadly I gave this one 3 stars, and I was shocked as to why I gave it 3 stars because I was so excited. It was a bully romance, but there was just something about it that I wasn't entirely vibing with. So this is a bully romance between this girl, and check up the trigger warnings for this. There are trigger warnings for abuse, and that's the only thing that's really coming to mind right now. Child abuse, and that is the only thing that's coming to mind right now. But basically she is kind of like just a quiet heroine. She really just like minds her own business and does what she has to do to get by. And she's obsessed with like thunderstorms, and she'll just like lay outside during a thunderstorm and like let the rain wash over her body or whatever. And one night, the hero, who I don't remember his name, he walks onto like the field that she's on in front of her house. They get to talking, and hero has been obsessed with the heroine for quite some time now, and same with her. She's been obsessed with him. They've always like admired each other. They have like similar classes and whatnot. Then her father walks out and tells her to stay away from him, and she's petrified of her father. So from that day on, she has never talked to him at school again, which has made the hero super resentful. And then he finds out like what's going on between her and her father, and like it's just not that great of a, this definitely was not my favorite Jessica Cain romance novel for sure. It was just fine. That's what I can say about it. It was literally just fine. And then I read Thin Ice. Forgot who the author is. I think it was like Cassie something. This book was also recommended in Bree's novella recommendation video. So this one was incredibly short, and I ended up giving this one 3 stars. It was a romance between a figure skater and her coach. She's training to go to the Olympics, I believe, and she has a partner. She just really wants her coach's approval all the time, and the coach has kind of like noticed his figure skater a lot more recently, and like I guess it's just a romance between them. Like I don't know, not much drama, really just it. Like it was fine. Again, another fine novella. I hope I can find some better ones. Let me know if you guys have any novella recommendations down below. But yeah, I gave that one 3 stars. And then I read The Heart Principle by Helen Hoang. I read this one physically, so I got to annotate it, and I ended up giving this one 4 stars. So this one was definitely a very different vibe from The Bride Test and The Kiss Quotient. I loved those 2 books. Each time I finished one, I felt like my life had changed. This one had a very sad tone to it. It wasn't as lighthearted and fun and funny as the other 2 books. Like I was physically mad while reading this book. Like I was shaking. I was so pissed for her. But basically we have our heroine, and she is a violinist. A video of her went viral playing the violin, and since then she has never been able to really achieve at the level of perfection that she played in that viral video. And that's been causing her to go a little bit, just like have breakdowns and stuff like that. She's not been happy with her music playing, and on top of that, her boyfriend just requested that they go on like a break. He wants to see other women, and so her life is kind of like crumbling around her. And the hero is Quan, and Quan is the brother, the hero from The Bride Test. And so he is going through some things as well. I believe he had cancer, and he's super depressed. And so he decides to go on a dating app, and so does she, and they get to talking, and a really beautiful friendship forms. It originally was going to start as a friends with benefits situation, but it took a little bit of time to get to the benefits part on the heroine, because she isn't super comfortable with intimacy and sex and all of that. And she just got like a diagnosis that she is autistic, and her older sister is not supportive of her whatsoever. Her sister is incredibly toxic and just like pissed me off. This book had a really sad undertone. The heroine's father is also incredibly sick. I believe he was like, I can't remember exactly what he was diagnosed with, but he was like in a coma for a little bit, and then he got out of it, and he is like bedridden, and he needs the help of everyone in the family. This one was just super sad, but I did like it, and I did enjoy it, and I found so many things to be incredibly insightful, so I gave it 4 stars. And then I read The Crime Lord's Captive for the Dark Romance Readathon. This in fact ended up being the only book that I finished for the Dark Romance Readathon. I was so excited. I started vlogging it and everything, and then things just took a turn for the worst with my vlog and my days while doing the readathon. But I did end up reading The Crime Lord's Captive, and I gave this one 3 stars. This one, I was really sad about it because I loved Bitter Heat by Mia Knight. But The Crime Lord's Captive just didn't do it for me. It basically follows this girl, and she has been running away from someone from her past who is a crime lord. And so she moves away, like literally across the country, gets a new name, gets a job, starts dating this new guy, and that all comes to like a crashing halt. She gets taken back to the place that she ran away from, and the crime lord, who is her ex, is threatening her father because her father owes him money. And it was overall just like a super boring book. He cheated on her in the past, and that kind of led her to run away, start over, pining for her, and he's like, I want you back, you are the only one for me. And she's kind of like, wait a minute, you threatened me to get me here, you cheated on me in the past, like what, why do you want me, why do you want me, you clearly don't want me. And so I don't know, I was just overall meh with this book. It was pretty okay, it was boring, to be honest. But yeah, I gave this one 3 stars. And then I read Ruthless Creatures by J.T. Justinger, and this was my only 5-star read of the entire month, which is crazy. I usually have at least 3 5-star books every month, but this one ended up being the only one, and for good reason. It was so good. So this book followed a girl named Natalie. It kind of starts off with her being in a like depressive episode, kind of sad. Basically 5 years ago from when the book started, her fiance disappeared. Literally the day that they were supposed to get married, he just disappeared off the face of the planet, and she's never really been able to fully get over that. Yes, she's dated other people, but she just has like this sense of longing and sadness and questions as to what happened, what went wrong, where did he go. And during the time of her 5-year anniversary mark of when he disappeared, a new person moves to town, and his name is Cage. He moves into the house right next door, and he is just like the most beautiful man that Natalie's ever seen. Same with Natalie's best friend, who's really just been there. I think her Sloan, who's always been there for her. And he's come into her life at the start of many changes. She's trying to get like fully over it. Every year on this anniversary, she just gets plastered. Yeah, like I said, she's never been fully able to move on until Cage moves in. And Cage is keeping many, many, many secrets from Natalie. Like, there's an instant connection, sparks are flying. He loves her so much, she loves him so much. It was just such a good romance book, and this felt so different than like a typical mafia romance for some reason. Like, to Natalie, she really had no idea that mafias existed outside of like movies and TV shows and books. It was just overall so enjoyable. Like, I gave this book 5 stars. I was literally hooked from the beginning. I wanted to know what happened to her fiance David. I wanted to know what secrets Cage was keeping. It was just amazing, so good. 5 stars. I'm so excited to read book 2, which follows Natalie's best friend Sloan. It was just such an amazing book, and I could genuinely feel the love and the passion. I've come to realize that I think that I really enjoy books where the hero and the heroine are separated for a little bit. Just like the longing to me is so beautiful, especially if an author writes it really well. So yeah, I gave this one 5 stars, and that was my only 5-star book of the month, but I'm so excited to read more. And then for my book club Between the Covers with my best friends Em and Reagan, the April pick was Things We Never Got Over by Lucy Score, and I gave this one 4.5 stars. This one was very, very close to a 5-star read, but ultimately 4.5 stars. This girl named Naomi. Naomi is just run away from her wedding. Funny enough, she ran away from her wedding, and she gets a call from her estranged sister. She hasn't seen her in years, they haven't spoken in years, and she asked Naomi to come and meet her in this town that she has been living in. She's in trouble, she needs help. And so Naomi's like, of course, like, even though we haven't talked, I'm coming to help you. And so she gets there where she's supposed to meet her twin sister, and everybody is calling her by her twin sister's name and treating her like absolute garbage. And that is because Naomi's twin sister is kind of known as the evil twin, like a menace to society, just not liked by anyone in this small town. And Naomi has to quickly explain that she is the twin of the evil twin. I don't know what I'm saying. So basically, Naomi's twin sister decides to steal from Naomi her money, her car, some belongings, and leave her daughter, her 11-year-old daughter, Waylay, with Naomi. And so Naomi has this like just ran from the altar, and now she has to take care of this 11-year-old child. Like, things are crazy. She has nowhere to stay, no money, no car. She ended up throwing away her phone like the night that she left the wedding, so she's literally stranded in this place with an 11-year-old to take care of. And Knox is kind of seeing this all unfold. Knox is the hero. They don't get off to the best start at all because Knox thinks that Naomi is her twin sister, and from there Knox is just kind of like helping. He's super attracted to Naomi, but he just isn't really. She's like a high maintenance person. She's obsessed with like fairy tales and romance, and he's like, no, like this cannot happen, no, stay away from me. And so Knox ends up helping out Naomi. He gets her like this place that is literally right next door to his on this plot of land, and it's just such a scenic, such a beautiful book. Like, I was vividly picturing everything in this book, which usually doesn't happen to me. I can't really picture things when reading, but this one I could see so clearly. It was just such cozy vibe, such a good feeling. I loved Naomi's relationship with Waylay and everybody in the town. Like, it was just such a beautiful book. So good. And there was a little bit of suspense at the end, but it was very comical. It didn't get like super dark randomly. It was like all in all just like in light fun. Like, I was literally laughing out loud while reading this book, which is always a great feeling. So I gave this one 4.5 stars. It was pretty good. Honestly, when I'm talking about it, I kind of want to rate it a 5-star. I don't know. But yeah, I genuinely love this book and I highly recommend it. Also, the live stream for this book is still up on my channel, so you guys can go check out our discussion and leave some comments. Tell me what you thought about the book if you've read it. So that is up for your viewing pleasure. And then I read the Heir Apparent's Rejected Mate by Katie Wells, and last month I read The Tyrant Alpha's Rejected Mate, and when I found out that in April we were getting the book 2, I was so excited, and I ended up giving this one 4 stars. This one definitely was not as good as The Tyrant Alpha's Rejected Mate, but it was good all the same. So basically this book takes place at the Moon Lake Pack, which we get to know a little bit about them from the Tyrant Alpha's Rejected Mate. And this book follows this heroine, and she is a scavenger, and the scavengers are kind of like the lowest class in the pack. They kind of are known for stealing, and they're like considered to be weird because they're always just collecting things that really nobody else cares about except for them. Basically, one day she feels a pull to the heir apparent, who is Caddick Collins, and Caddick is basically like the Alpha's son. He is in training to take over the pack. His father's sick. Nobody else knows that, but he is like training hard to be able to take over this pack. Obviously, these two are mates, but Caddick cannot claim Rosie because she's a scavenger. Father and mom really just want nothing to do with Rosie. They don't want it to get out there that Rosie is his mate. They feel like she will be used as a weakness, like an uprising against his father. And so basically he has to reject her. But also, if you know werewolf books, there is still attraction there, and there is still pull, and your wolf is like inside you screaming at you to go be with your mate, and you just want to like protect them. And Rosie is really just like not interested after he rejects her. Everybody around her is telling her, okay, like use this to your advantage, like ask for things, ask for phones, ask for technology, ask for better circumstances, because you're gonna have to carry his kid. Like, you're going to have that. She also is like going through heat and stuff, and obviously she has to mate with him, and he just feels like this draw to her and attraction to her, and he wants to protect her and he wants to be with her, but he can't. And it was a pretty good book. Like, I rated it 4 stars. I really did love it, but like I said, it was not The Tyrant Alpha's Rejected Mate, and I love The Tyrant Alpha's Rejected Mate. I also really hated this pack, like with a burning passion. Like, their respectability politics, like I hated it to a passion. Like, they're really just worried about their image to the humans and like what they look like from the outside. Like, I literally hated this pack so much. I hated reading about them. And also, this does have the accidental pregnancy trope, and yeah, this book was a lot. It was really good, but I still love The Tyrant Alpha's Rejected Mate so much more. I hope the third book in the series be a little bit better. Like, I did enjoy it, it did have me hooked, but I just wasn't all that into it all the way. And then last but not least, I read The Long Game by Rachel Reed, and I rated this book 4 stars. This one was so good. I literally will never be able to get over it. It was everything. It was so insightful. Like, I tabbed the heck out of it because there was just so many things in here that I needed to highlight and talk about and scream about. But this book is basically part 2 to the second book in the Game Changer series by Rachel Reed. This is her whole entire series is Hockey Romance, but this book follows the couple from book 2. In book 2, you kind of get like a happy for now, and this one is like a continuation of their story. And it was intense, to say the least. Trigger warnings for depression and suicide. And yeah, basically I was back with like one of my favorite couples ever, Ilya and Shane, and it was great. It was magic. I really can't talk too much about this book without spoiling the second book, so I'll briefly just tell you guys what the second book is about, which is Heated Rivalry. Heated Rivalry follows these 2 rivals. So everybody kind of like pitted against each other. They're both play the same position. They both are like the best at their age level, and so before they even get drafted, they are known to be rivals. They meet very young. And Ilya is kind of like this cocky boy, and Shane is like this golden retriever guy, and who's just super happy-go-lucky and very nervous. And they don't get off on the right foot because Ilya's an asshole sometimes. Imagine the entire world thinking that you guys hate each other, but you're actually hooking up the entire time. Nothing too serious at first, just like friends with benefits whenever they're in town, or really like enemies with benefits. Like, they do not like each other. They hate their attraction towards each other, but what are you gonna do? They're both attracted to each other. So they start to mess around, but the world cannot know. Like, the world thinks they hate each other. They're some of the best hockey players in the league. Like, it just can't get out there that they're together. And yeah, that's where this book continues. I just love their love for each other. Like, I will never be able to express how much I love their love. I couldn't. I was screaming, I was jumping up and down, just smiling up to the sky, like, while listening to the audiobook and reading it. Like, it was just so good. I couldn't. But I ultimately gave this one 4 stars because it was no heated rivalry. So amazing. I had such a good time talking about it with Em, and I gave it 4 stars. So that was the last book that I read in April. I'm so excited for my reading month. In May, I have some amazing books on my TBR. You guys can check out that video. So excited because I get out of school literally on the 7th of May. So yeah, I'm hoping for good reading month vibes all around. And yeah, thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, don't forget to leave a big like and a comment down below, and also subscribe so you never miss another upload from me. And I will see you very shortly with a new video. Bye.
If I got one thing right, it was you.